YouTube. We're also on Facebook, Instagram. You could check us out. And the rebroadcast will be on Spotify, Apple Music, um, Amazon Music, all of them, Deezer, iHeartRadio. How Not to Bomb, the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe below. Today we got a great show. We got part two of Bill Branca, Hollywood Agents. He'll be on in a few seconds here. I'm waiting for him to call in. And Bill is, he did part one. If you go back to the first way back, you'll see part one. I think it was episode 2. And today we're doing part 2. And this is where he talks about the Chris Rock days, the Martin Lawrence days, what it was like to be in Hollywood at the time, to be an agent in Hollywood. And he had a lot of stories he wanted to tell on part 1, but there were so many, we had to do part 2. So Bill should be in the room any minute. Anyway, so it's a beautiful day out here in Tampa, Florida today. I moved out to Tampa. I'm loving it out here, I have to say. A lot going on. I want to tell you, I have a new book I wrote called How Not to Bomb. The book, it's a stand-up comedy guide. You can download it for Kindle, or you can buy it on paperback. It's on Amazon, called How Not to Bomb by Michael Wheels Parisi. And it's really about, it's like I want to say it's like, if you want to be a stand-up comedian, it's like the perfect book for that, because it tells you how to structure your act. I mean, it tells you everything you need to do stand-up. So that'll be coming up. Anyway, we got Bill coming in right now. And I also have another book called What Do We Do Now? And I'm going to explain that later. I'm going to invite Bill in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Branca's in the room. Part 2 of Bill.
Can you hear me, Wheels?
Yeah, put the microphone a little away from your mouth.
Oh, my God. My splitter is working.
You sound great. How you doing, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing good, Wheels. It was a very busy day.
Yeah, me too. I had a nice day today. We had I was my wife and I went to work out in the gym. Do you work out at all? Do you go to the gym? Try to keep healthy after a certain age?
No. I get my exercise at work. I walk about 8,000 steps a day.
All right. Well, you can't. That's definitely nice.
Yeah.
You know. So part 1 of your episode did fantastic. It was really well received. We had about 30,000 downloads on Spotify, between Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, and Apple. So that's a lot for the show is gaining momentum. Right now we're about between 30 and 50,000 downloads. We're going to hit the 50,000 download mark, I think, by next week. So we're like in between 30, I think it's like 38. So we're going to hit 50 soon. And it's only going to go more and more. So last episode. So anyway, what's going on in your world before we get into the stories of Bill Branca? Because a lot of people love what you had to say, and I thank you for being on the show today. It's 6 o'clock. What time is 6:20? We're doing a show, you and I, on a Saturday. Why, people? Why? Because we don't have anything fucking better to do. That's why, except talk about ourselves.
Let's go back to like 1990, right? A Saturday at the Comedy Club.
Just put the mic a little further away from your mouth, because it really is picking up a lot. There you go. That sounds good.
Is that better? But let's go back. What was it like in 1990?
Let's go back in time. So, all right. So here we are. It's Saturday, 2026. Let's go back to a Saturday night in 1996 with Bill Branca.
30 years ago.
At that point in your career. How many years ago was that? 96, 16, 26, 20 years ago, right?
No, 30.
30. Oh, that's right. 96.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Rick, can you believe
All
that?
right. So let's go back 30 years ago. I knew you then, too. So 30 years ago.
Yeah.
On a Saturday night. What was a typical Saturday night happening in 96?
Well, Saturday night was an interesting night because, all the showcases were going on, Monday through Friday. Saturday was kind of like my night. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, you did your own thing on a Saturday night.
I did my own thing. Now, unless, let's say I had Martin Lawrence or Chris Rock, calling me up and saying, "Hey, Bill, I'm going to do a set at the Comedy Store tonight." So there you go.
But would you drop everything to be there, even if you want a date or having dinner with, would you just drop everything? I mean, you have to have a life, Bill.
No. Listen, I'm going to tell you. Martin Lawrence said to me, "Bill, you're booking my dates. I want you out on the road with me, settling my dates, because I don't trust anybody."
Wow.
So that was interesting, right?
I mean, yeah,
every
I mean,
concert he did, I flew with him.
yeah, you had to be at every concert. But let me ask you a question, and I want to get back to that. But let's get to a question here, and I think the question that people would like to know is this: being a Hollywood agent, you weren't a typical Hollywood agent because you were very much in the thick of the celebrity style comedy world. You were with a big agency that William Morris. Let's say, for instance, a Saturday night, 7 o'clock, you're hanging out, you're with your girl, you're having dinner at Dantana's,
Okay.
and you're in the middle of dinner and you're having a wonderful night. You're having a glass of wine, you're chilling out, and then all of a sudden, either Chris Rock calls you or Martin Lawrence calls you and say, "Hey,
Mhm.
listen, I need you here now."
Mhm.
Were they,
Well,
and you're like, "Well, I can't," or do they
no,
understand?
I went. I took off. Absolutely.
You did. What did you do? What happened if you let? What about the date? Would you just leave her there?
Well, the girls I dated, they pretty
They
much knew
understood.
the deal. They knew that I was the comedy agent. I would take them with me.
You would take them with you, so that was kind of
Yeah.
fun for them too, in a sense. You kind of
If
made
it
it
was
fun.
Suzelle or Eleanor, Debbie, the girls that I was dating, they knew, and they would come with me.
Okay, so that what I'm trying to say is they were allowed to come with you. They were allowed to be around, and they were
Mhm.
and Martin and Chris and those guys accepted them being because they were with you. In other words,
Yeah.
okay,
Now, what's interesting with Chris Rock, right? He didn't demand that I go to all his concerts, but
okay,
what he did want was after the show, when the show was done and it was time for him to get paid, he wanted me on the phone, on speakerphone, with the club owner, settling the money.
on the phone. So he would actually settle with you in the room. So a lot of times the talent don't like to be in the room when they're settling. It's usually you and the club owner.
Yeah, no, he was there.
Okay,
He would listen to us banter because I don't know. Let's say it was a $2,500 guarantee, and we had an 80/20, and then the club owner had some expenses, whatever. I would make sure the expenses were in line with what they should be,
right.
and we would come to the thing like, all right, 2,500, and we're gonna get another $4,000 bonus.
Okay, for
Done.
do for sale. Let me ask you this: now, were you with Chris when he did like Letterman and things like that?
Oh my God. Not so much when he did the New York um, appearances, but when he was out here,
Uh huh.
I was with him for Arsenio Hall.
Okay.
There was Jay Leno.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, uh, Conan was
Was Conan in
out here.
L.A. at that time?
Yeah, he was.
Okay. You were Kimmel wasn't around then. I don't think.
No,
Craig
no,
Ferguson was he around? I'm not sure if Craig was around.
no.
So you were with them backstage, and you would
Yeah.
kind of. So was there any special requests? Like a lot of stars have riders, the rider where they have
Mhm.
everything in the dressing room. Was there any special requests that Martin and Chris would have? I mean, I'm sure that people would like to know any crazy shit, like
No, Chris was he didn't demand anything.
Okay, so he wasn't a
Um,
demanding star. He was kind of
No,
Chris.
I
Okay.
remember with Martin, the sometimes he wanted chicken wings. Uh, I remember they always put liquor. They always had like a bottle of Hennessy or something with
Okay.
us.
Yeah, that was big. Gin and juice. Well,
Yeah,
Hennessy
we
was not
now,
gin. That was called cognac.
but Martin never he didn't touch it. But
Oh,
when it was time to go after the show, yeah, he took
yeah.
it with him.
He took it with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, would you say that were they high maintenance? Would you say like Martin was a high maintenance? Or Chris? I know Chris, so I know he wasn't too high maintenance, but I don't know how he was in the world of being a celebrity.
No, Chris was the easiest. He was the nicest client anyone in the world could have.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
So he
he
was
knew
just
how to go with
easygoing.
it,
Yeah,
roll
he
with it.
was
He knew things weren't going to be perfect,
right.
and he
He
knew they
accepted
were
it.
going to. But he, that's the way it is, Bill. Let's
Yeah.
make it work. Mhm.
What about Martin? Was Martin had more of the king thing in his head? I know Martin was very had a big
He
head.
he was very demanding that everything had to be perfect.
Just so, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet.
So
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll tell you a funny story.
Sure. I love that.
We were up in, I think, Buffalo, right? And Martin had gone back to the hotel. He was in his suite. I told him to, take a nap. I'm gonna go do the sound check for you. Martin never really wanted to do sound checks, so I would
Right.
go do the sound check. But Michael Hubbard, who was Martin Lawrence's road manager, him and I had like 2 hours, right?
Uh-huh.
So we said we were gonna go to Niagara Falls. We were dying to see Niagara Falls. It was maybe, I don't know, 45 minutes, an hour away. So we're in the limousine. We tell the driver we want to go see Niagara Falls. We just pulled into the park, right?
Right.
The phone rings. We had those old-fashioned phones, and it was Martin Lawrence. And he went to me, and he said, "No, no, they're playing the wrong commercial. They're playing the wrong commercial. This isn't the commercial I approved." Ooh. And I said, "Hold on, Martin." I said, "Just hold on, okay? Your advertisements were done by Michael Hubbard, okay? I did the bookings. I had the limos, the airfare, the private jet. All that was me. But Michael did the radio spots, and I put him on the phone, and he ripped him a new a-hole. It was
Wow.
brutal.
Wow.
So he said, "I want you guys back here at the hotel right now." So here we are. We're like, we the corner of our eye, we see Niagara Falls,
Right.
but we can't go there. We have to turn around and drive back to the hotel where
Right.
Martin had his second chance to yell at us in person.
But yet it was a friendly yell because you guys were all
Oh,
friends in a
it
sense.
was all love. Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
all love. Yeah. I think that was an interesting time in '96. So a lot of people, I remember '96, the Comedy Store was hopping. We were all hanging out. Usually I'd be at the Comedy Store in '96, hanging out back, ready to go
Mhm,
on,
mhm.
maybe get bumped by a few people. Um,
You love
what
the
was
bumps.
the bumps were tough. You're getting ready to go on, and then all of a sudden Paul Mooney walks in the room and does 3 hours. The show's fucking over. I mean, they waited there all night.
Yeah.
But I was fun. It was funny because I do have a Chris Rock story. I will tell you that you don't know
Okay.
probably. So back in the early day in New York, I would play all the clubs. We'd all play the clubs, and I knew Chris,
Hmm.
and of course, Sandler and Chris, and we all kind of came up the ranks together in that time. Like I told you, Chris had already met Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy took him on the road, and Andrew Dice
Hmm.
Clay actually took me on the road at the same time.
Hmm.
We kind. So Chris, we would do this comedy club up in Westchester County called Mr. Riffs, and it was a comedy club that it was really cool because you got paid,
Was it
and
in
we
White
were young
Plains?
comics.
Where was it?
I forget what it was in Westchester, and I forget the area of Westchester. It's called Mr. Riffs, and they
Okay.
would pay you. So it was a paid gig, and we none of us had any money. We were broke. So it was fun to
Yeah.
get a paid gig up in a couple of $100. But we'd go up there and we'd drive together. So Chris was in the car with me one time. I wasn't driving, and I forget who was driving, but I know Chris was in the back seat. And every time we'd go over the bridge and we had to pay a toll, he would make believe he was sleeping because he didn't want to pay the toll. So then we'd go over the toll, and as soon as we would be like, maybe a couple of miles past the toll, he kind of nonchalantly wake up,
Hmm.
and then we'd be back to normal again.
Was,
Because
was it like you guys were going to split the toll, right?
we were going to all split the toll. We split the gas, split the toll, but there was always an excuse with Chris that he couldn't, but he'd fall asleep, or it was just like, I'll get to you later. There was always, I ain't got, I'll do it later, or he'd be sleeping, don't wake me
Yeah.
up. But that was the one time that happened, and I forget who was on the show with us, but yeah, that was great. So Chris and I, after the many years, would hang out at the Comedy Store together backstage by the payphone.
Hmm.
If you remember the legendary payphone backstage, in the
Yeah, I do
hallway.
remember that.
Yeah, we'd all kind of hang out by the photos, and we were talking. Chris and I always hung together. It was not a big, he was very quiet. Chris was always very quiet at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
He didn't talk much. He was a very conservative guy, but would he ever get mad at you for any reason? Was he always kind of even level?
You see, that's the thing. Like even with Martin Lawrence, I don't make mistakes. Okay.
Right.
Especially with these guys. Because I'm like ADHD, double, triple, quadruple checking everything. Okay.
Everything.
Now, if it was on me to put that commercial send that commercial to the radio station, they would have gotten the right one. But I can see how Michael Hubbard got confused, because if I remember it at the time, he cut like 2 or 3, and it was a little bit confusing because he had like 3 tapes, and Martin said, "I like this one, Bill. I like this one." And then, but anyway.
But you're supposed to really know, like you said, you would always never make a mistake. I mean, for the most part, you really shouldn't when it comes to that kind of thing. We're talking, there's a lot of money involved. Comedians are very emotional to begin with. We don't like when something goes wrong. We're kind of nitpicky with stuff like that. And that could set the night sour. But what else was going on in 96 with you? Because is that when you would say you were rocking and rolling it?
Yeah, what happened was in 90, well, okay. In 96, right? I had my own agency. It was called the Branca Agency. Okay.
Right.
Chris Rock was he had already done his HBO special, the first one, and then he was working on Bring the Pain. I think it was.
Was that his first special?
No, I think it was Big Ass Jokes.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, that was the and, okay. Now the interesting thing is, I was at William Morris, and around 86, I went there. About 87, 88, I became a junior agent. I signed Martin Lawrence first. I think I went through that story, how I went down to the Comedy Act Theater, Michael Williams Club. I had him
as a junior agent.
As a junior agent, I shouldn't have even had an office.
Well, that's what I was going to say. As a junior agent, why would you be in that kind of predicament as a junior agent? Why that isn't,
Well, we see William Morris. Once you go through the training program, they say to you, "What do you want? You want to be literary? Do you want television, motion picture, commercial?" And the way I saw it was, all those departments had a ton of people trying to get in them. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Even though I'm good with competition, I went for something that wasn't even on their radar. And I said, we have to do a comedy department, right? Because I saw like Howie Mandel was with Scott Pang, but Howie left because he wasn't getting handled properly in television.
Right. So Howie Mandel left because he didn't feel that they didn't know what they were doing in the television side. So you decided, well, we're going to do a comedy department, so it just focuses on comedy, in other words.
Well, look at it like this. So you have Scott Pang, right? He's a PA agent. The television department has...
Now, let me just say, PA means personal appearance agent, if people don't know what PA.
Correct.
Personal appearance.
So Scott goes to the PA weekly departmental meeting.
Right.
Television has their weekly meeting like right after ours. Scott's not going to go to the television meeting.
Right. Yeah. Why would he?
What I said, let's do one department. We'll get all the comedians huddled in there. And I'll go to the television meeting. I'll go to the motion picture meeting, episodic, commercial, and I'll make sure I'm bringing up our clients' names for roles, because there was, at those meetings, they were talking about new shows and casting people.
Sure. Development. Let me ask you this, Bill. Was there anybody you passed on that you wish you didn't? Or was there anybody that you
Yeah,
didn't
you know what?
pass on that you wish you did?
Uh, I'm gonna tell you. I got to go back to Houston, right? Where I was at in Houston with Cedric, right
Okay.
before he was Cedric the Entertainer, and he came up to me and said to me, I'm coming to LA. I'm going to be a big star, Bill." And when they say something like that to me, I get excited. It's not like I roll my eyes
Right,
because
right.
I see a fortitude in these guys that they're going to do anything they have to do to make it. That's why even if somebody would hand me a script or something like that, I always took that serious
You did
because
take it serious. That's good to know.
that could be the $1 million script, you know?
Right, right.
I never like
At
rolled
least
my
look at
eyes.
it. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. But I told them you could contact me when you get to LA. I didn't give him my card, I think. And he came to LA and he said he was looking for me. I told him where I worked, but I think he forgot. Um, well, I had the Branca agency, but I think Chris Smith got him, which was fine. Chris is an
Right.
excellent agent. He ended up going to ICM,
Yeah, yeah, he was great, Chris. I remember him.
but I should have been a little bit more aggressive with that.
You think so? I was wondering also about as far as that goes. Has there anyone ever come over to you in a club or a place and say, I'd like you to represent me? And did you ever feed him a line of bullshit and give him a card and say, yeah, I'll get back on me, and then just be nice and brush him off? Or did you really take it serious? Or if they weren't for you, you say, listen, you're just not for me. Why waste your time? You didn't want to give them any false hope, or did you kind of ever give anybody false hope?
No, I never did. What happened a few times when people came up to me, um, I would be blunt honest with them. I would say, listen, right now I'm representing Martin Lawrence, okay, and he's got the TV show, um, movies. Um, he's not doing HBO special. He's doing an actual motion picture,
Yeah.
And I said, I'm up to here with Martin, okay. Then I have Chris Rock. His career is just starting to blow up, okay. So I have those two guys, and if I signed you, it wouldn't be fair
Right.
because
So you were
I
honest. You were
wouldn't be
honest
able
with
to
them.
put any and they go, do you know somebody? Do you know someone? How I would say go to Irving Arthur. There's a guy named Michael Green there, or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Michael was with Urban Arthur. Then he opened up his own thing. I think it was at the firm. I forget. I think it was the firm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do think, but and that's good you did that because a lot of comedians will go over to agents, and they'll give them false hope and they'll say, oh yeah, yeah, when you're in town, we'll definitely get together, and then it never happens, and I think that it's good to say it right up front. So as a comedian, we can follow, and we can leave you alone and go try and find somebody else. I mean, I might want to be with you,
hmm
but if you're not going to want to be with me, I rather not think I'm going to be with you. I'd rather say I'm not going to be with
yeah.
Branca. I'm going to go and talk to somebody else, and work with them because, it's a tough job. It's rough when you're a comic out in LA, especially not making any money. You're doing free shows every fucking night of the week at the Comedy Store, Laugh Factory. You're getting paid very little. If you're
What
getting
are they
paid
paying
there,
you
you're
like
getting paid very little.
$15 or something like that? It's
It was
ridiculous.
like it was $15. Then they cut it down to $12.50 in the original room, and then in the main room, you would get a piece of the door. So you had a piece. So the main room was where the money was for us. If we were playing the main room that weekend, we would make maybe 300-400 back then. I mean, it helped, but there were times where, me and Eddie Griffin would be in the back of the Comedy Store, broke as can be, we go to the Rock and Roll Ralph's up on Sunset, if you remember Rock and
hmm
Roll Ralph's, and in the middle of the night, or we go to Greenblatt's and fucking split a turkey sandwich. We would try to come up with enough money for a turkey sandwich that cost like $15 back then, go to the AM/PM and fucking take hot dogs, not pay for them. You were broke, you know.
I remember
Eh,
Eddie Griffin. When I had my agency, I was representing him, and I was putting him out on the road. I thought he was maybe my number three. You know what I'm saying?
He's very talented guy. He got in his own
Yeah,
way, but he's very talented.
absolutely.
Very talented. I mean, this guy could sing. He was a sing and dance man. He was another Sammy Davis Jr. Sing, dance, comedy. He can fucking do it all. Eddie Griffin just got in his own way.
And the funny thing I used to live on Knoll, right by Holloway. Okay,
Right. West
There
Knoll.
was the apartment complex or something, that condos that moved up, that was right at the end of Holloway, the beginning of Knoll. Eddie Griffin lived there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he lived there. So I used to, guys, I'm driving home every day, I used to see him out front.
Yep.
But what happened with Eddie, he would come into my office, it was right there on Sunset Boulevard, and he would say, "Hey, Bill, I got that show this weekend. Um, could I could you could I borrow $500?" And you could take it from the deposit.
Right.
Now I did it every time he asked me. I did it as long as I had the money in my bank, in my escrow account,
Right.
right? Because I didn't want to get in the position where he would get paid 1,500, 2,000 bucks, and he would have to come back and pay me.
Right.
I
Right.
always made sure I had it.
You had it, and
Yeah.
you were gonna. You know what's funny is you say you lived on West Knoll. Eddie lived on that right around the corner from you, right?
Yeah.
I lived on Hacienda, which was right over there too, off of Fountain.
Yeah.
In that little area of West Hollywood, West Hollywood, but people don't know, is a little area between Hollywood and Beverly Hills. It's 1.9 square miles. Everybody lived. It was kind of like you just lived there and you worked there and you walked around there and everybody kind of did their thing and it was show business was part of it,
Hmm.
and everybody lived around the corner from each other. It's funny. That restaurant on Sunset with a dome, it was called Tangerine back then. It was on Sunset and Holloway, right across from Tower
Oh yeah,
Records.
I remember that one. Sure.
At one point, I owned part of that restaurant. That was my first restaurant that I was a part owner, and I was a 50% owner of that restaurant. That's where I ended up meeting Michael Jackson and everybody else. And
Hmm.
Eddie Griffin ended up taking it over after I had sold my piece. Eddie Griffin came and took it over, and he turned it into
Oh
this
my God.
wild fucking place. Everybody was in there, throwing glasses in the street. It was like it turned into like nuts. But it was right there on. It was called Tangerine. That was my first food venture in LA when I was starting to make some money.
Yeah.
I got into a partnership there, and Eddie ended up buying my end. Not from me, but he ended up getting. I had left, but Eddie ended up taking it over. But anyway, that was that part of the world. I had some history with Eddie. Me and Eddie also did Dice Rules together. He was in that movie.
Yeah.
I was in that movie with him.
Yeah.
So what else was going on with Chris? Because I know you told me you had a lot of Chris stories. You wanted to talk about some stuff with Chris. Because last show we touched on
Let
Martin
me
a
see.
lot.
I put some notes down here, and because I didn't want to miss anything. Oh, okay. There is a very funny story here. Very funny story with Chris
Okay.
Rock. Okay, so this is what happened. I think I have it right here. I had booked uh Martin Lawrence because he was on the show. He had the Martin Lawrence show,
Right.
and I don't know where we were. We might have been in Cleveland or something like that. And I he was headlining, okay? And I went to Chris. I said, "Hey, Chris, no, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." This was in the very beginning, where Martin didn't have his show yet.
Oh, okay.
Chris had gotten on Saturday Night Live, I believe. It was right around before Martin got his show.
Right at the
So I
beginning of it.
I
Yeah.
booked Chris Rock here in Cleveland. It wasn't a big theater. It was like 1,500 seats.
Right.
He was on Saturday Night Live. So I went to Martin and I said, "Hey, Martin, Chris is doing this show in Cleveland. Um, how would you like to open for him?" Now he was like, "Open? Why don't we? I want co-headline. I want co." And I said, "I can't do that right now, okay? Because he's got a show and your show's still in development. I can't."
Right.
I said, "But can you imagine you and Chris Rock on the same bill? You know,
It would have been heavy.
it would, yeah, because people knew, people knew about Martin from Do the Right Thing and Talking Dirty After Dark." So what happened was I got Martin to agree. He says, "All right, Bill, I'll open for him, okay?" but I think I had to pay him almost as much as Martin. It was like, and they had to split the back end, which was fine. Chris was fine with that. Martin was fine with that.
Right.
So Chris is out there. I went out there to be with both of these guys because I couldn't send them alone. And what happened was, Martin was doing his boxing thing. He was getting ready. Chris was going to headline. Martin went out on stage, okay, and he was killing it, absolutely killing it. Okay.
Yeah.
So 15 minutes go by, 20 minutes go by, 30 minutes go
I know
by,
where this is going.
45 minutes go by. Now, and I'm with Chris. I'm standing right backstage with Chris, and we're watching. Now, Chris is sweating here because he's seeing the crowd go absolutely nuts. Okay.
Right.
40 minutes go by, 50
Oh.
minutes go by. So what happened was, mine did like an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh
Okay.
my God. I would be so pissed off. You have no idea.
So what happened was, you know, we were giving him the light. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that it doesn't work with those
No,
guys.
So Chris was like, "Oh my God," because Martin's jokes was impersonations. He was making a fool, playing the
Yeah.
fool,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and all that stuff. So I said to Chris, Chris, I know you could do it, Chris. Okay, we can take a little intermission, and I know you're going to go out there and reset the crowd, right? So we took the intermission. I'm gonna find it right here because I actually remember the joke that Chris did.
So when you took when he took the intermission, was he pissed though at Martin?
Yeah, he didn't say anything. I
Okay.
think he might have said a snide remark like, "Hey, Martin,
Right.
you got to leave him something for me."
Right. Yeah. Eddie Griffin was famous for doing that too.
Yeah.
Paul Mooney.
Okay, I found it. So what happened was, we took the intermission. Yeah, I remember he made like a comment to Martin, but nothing. Just when I went in Martin's dressing room, he was like high-fiving everybody because he proved that he was like the headliner, that his jokes
Right.
were funny. He owned the audience, and he was so friggin' excited, and it was really hard for Chris to come back from that. So Chris walks out, and his first joke was, when you're in a relationship, everybody's lying to each other. Okay, you don't meet the real person until you're at least 6 months into the relationship, and the crowd just went crazy.
Crazy. Let me ask. I'm just surprised why Chris was not upset at Martin. Is it because Chris knew he was the bigger comic anyway, or?
You see, I got Chris Rock because I had Martin Lawrence. Okay, but Chris always respected Martin.
Yeah.
Always.
Were they friendly to each other?
Yeah, they were. Because you got to remember, like in my office, I would have Martin Lawrence. First of all, my office was a hangout.
Okay.
I had Eddie Griffin stopping by. I had Martin Lawrence stopping by. I had Chris Rock stopping by. I had Def Comedy Jam, Ricky Harris, all those guys. They would come to they would sit on the couch.
And just hang out.
Trying to do my work. I was trying to make calls, and
They needed somewhere to go during the day, and you were the spot.
and I was on Sunset Boulevard, right where those cafes are. What are they? You know what I'm talking about, right? Sunset Plaza.
Right, Sunset Plaza by Cafe Med and all that.
Yeah, I was just maybe like 100, 200 feet from there
Yeah, you were by
in my little
Craving.
bungalow.
Weren't you by Cravings, like in that little area?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let me ask you a question. So I didn't want to bring this up. I didn't want to bring it up in part one. But I'm going to bring it up in part two because I mean,
Okay.
a couple of years ago, we all remember the infamous Will Smith slap to Chris Rock.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we all remember that. Now, a lot of people are like, "Oh, it was." I don't feel it was real. I think it was staged, and you know now they're trying to make it like it wasn't staged because they don't want to seem like it was not. Anyway, were you watching that night, or when you watched the replay, or if you were watching it live, what was
Hmm.
going through your head? Now you were Chris's, not only are you Chris's friend still, you talked to him a
Hmm.
lot. You were his agent. What did you think about that night when you were watching it?
The beautiful thing about that was I was going to be with Chris in
That night?
Cleveland. No, the
Oh,
following week.
okay.
Okay, because Chris was coming here in his tour, and I had tickets. So I immediately texted him. I knew it was real, and I said, Chris, man, you know, Will was a real asshole, but I'm going to tell you what, soak up this publicity, okay? Like, like, don't say it's okay. You know, act like you're pissed off. You know,
Right.
and you two
Right.
are having some sort of feud. I text him something like that,
Yeah.
and then he came here, and that's the night he brought Arsenio Hall with him.
Right.
He didn't meet my daughter that on that
Oh,
concert.
this is before that.
Yeah, because she might have been too young. Might have left her with the grandparents. And then I went down there with my wife, and I said to Chris, I said, look, Chris, man, I love Will Smith. You know, he had what was it? I am what was that movie? I
Um,
am
I forgot which one.
the one where everything gets blown up and he's living in a
Terminator. No, he
no.
wasn't in. Men in Black.
Well, yeah, that's what I said. I love Men in
Yeah,
Black.
Men in Black. Right. Right. Men in Black.
No, then there's the other one where he was like him and his dog were like the only people alive. He lived
I don't know if I've
in
seen that
in
one.
the condo for like 10 years.
I only
Then he
liked him in
meet
Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I was not a big Will Smith fan of his movies.
Mhm.
I liked him when he was Fresh Prince.
I loved his song Miami and
That was
you know that
good. I like that. Yeah,
yeah.
Let's Get Jiggy with It. I think was his, right? Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. But do you
But
think that was real that night?
yeah, it was real.
It
Chris
was
Stone.
real. You don't think it
Yeah.
was staged?
No.
You don't think it was a stunt that went bad? Okay, that's interesting.
No.
I felt it was
I mean
real too.
Chris would have told me because
Yeah.
I said to him, but you know, I said, people trying to say that this is staged, Chris, right? And he says it wasn't staged.
I really don't think he forgived. I don't think he forgave Will Smith though. I think he doesn't really talk to him. He doesn't talk about it much anymore, and he don't talk about it. And I think that Will tried to reach out to him, and he just didn't want anything to do with it. From what I hear.
Because, and I said to him, I love Will Smith, right? But he's an asshole. I'm not
That
watching
was
any
an
more of
asshole
his
move.
movies right now. I don't want nothing to
Yeah.
do with him because that was the biggest
Yeah.
asshole move you could make. Plus,
Big
his
asshole
wife
move.
was cheated on him with.
Yeah.
I says, why was he like so enraged?
Unbelievable. I did a movie with Jada Pinkett Smith called
Oh yeah.
yeah, Low Down Dirty Shame. Remember that movie?
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that.
I was in that movie with the Wayans brothers. What happened to the Wayans brothers, do you think? You know, they kind of just disappeared off the face of the earth.
I just saw something on like TMZ or something. I think they're just enjoying their money.
They
They
made a
don't must
ton of
have.
money, but I mean,
Yeah.
they really. I know that Damon still performs. He's the funny one. He's the funny stand up. He out
Hmm.
of all stand up, he's the best. Keenan, of course, is the brain, and the other one is just kind of followed. But um, yeah, I think they made so much money that they just
Hmm.
don't. They want to relax and enjoy it for a change. I think that holds a lot of people back. That's where money will fuck you up because you know you're in this game so you can make money, but then you don't
Hmm.
enjoy your money because you don't want to try and stop making money. Like I mean there comes a point, don't you want to just chill out a little bit, enjoy your money and do things, you know? I mean, does it have to be performing every night of the week? Do you really need it that
Yeah.
bad at this point?
I mean, do you really need to go on tour and work 4 nights a week, 5 nights a week?
I'm saying, man. Like Jay Leno is at the
especially
Comedy Store every night of the week now performing. Now I think it's because of his wife, having Alzheimer's, and he probably wants to get out of the house. But you
yeah.
know, does he really need to go on tour with Arsenio Hall and all these guys? I mean, he don't need the money. Guy's got more money than God at this point.
I don't, maybe he's. I don't know.
Maybe he's more
I,
therapeutic. I think.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like I would say to myself right now, oh my God, it would be really great to be right back in the fire, you know? But then
Right.
I'm also thinking about I have no time for myself. And you
Right.
got to remember something. I dedicated my life to Martin Lawrence and to Chris Rock.
Right.
And that went from like 1990 to like 1997. Okay, that was like 7 years. I mean, I had a life, but I really didn't.
Right.
Because they were calling me all hours of the night, all
If
hours
Chris
of the day.
if Chris Rock called you today and said, "Listen, Bill, do you think you have one more tour in you? Do you think we can get together, you and I, put the band back together? Let's just do one more thing, because I trust you more than anything else, and I want you by my side because I'm going through a lot right now. It's not even about the business. I just need somebody I can trust, and I know you can do the job. Would you do it?
Yeah, I would do it.
Do you feel
Yeah.
you could do it though? Do you feel you'd be
Oh
able to
yeah.
actually do it? Yeah, you can get
Yeah.
right back in, put the suit back on, and you're back to being Bill Branca.
Yeah. And also with Martin Lawrence too, because remember with Martin, I was like I wasn't the promoter, I wasn't the agent. I
Right.
produced the tour.
Produce. Yeah. What's
Yeah.
the difference for the people out there watching? You produced it,
Oh,
meaning you put everybody together, but did you front the money? Because the producer's most of the time the money guy.
no, I got the money from the promoter. What
Okay.
I did was if I was an agent and you wanted to go out on tour, the agent is sitting in his office. He's talking to the promoter. He's setting up the deal. Okay. He's going to have them sign the contract. Okay.
Right.
And he's done.
Right.
Done.
Done.
The road manager does the box office settlement. He tells the client, you have $500 for your transportation to get there
Right.
and back. The client has to book it, you know. Agent is done. Agent did his job.
Right. So so
Now,
so you would if Chris or Martin came over to you, either one, and said, "Let's put the band back together," you would get on top of that and start doing it, knowing you wouldn't
yeah,
have a life. You have to leave home for a while. Your daughter, it would
yeah.
be okay. Yeah.
It would be for like 3 months or something, and
Right.
I would come back a millionaire.
A million.
The prices that they're charging right now. Oh, that's another thing I would do. I would nip that in the friggin' bud. And like when Martin Lawrence came here, his tickets were like $80, you know?
Right.
And then
Right.
if you went up in the mezzanine, um, or if you wanted to sit like right up front, it was like $350.
Yeah, they're not
And
cheap.
and, and I went backstage to him and I said, Chris, man, don't you remember when you were starting out, you said to me that I better price the tickets where my fans could afford them. I don't want to make the price too expensive where these people can't
Right.
afford to buy a ticket to my show. So
Right.
I said, "Do you remember you said that to me?" He's so out of the loop. He says, Bill, Live Nation sets it up. They pay me. I go where they tell me to go, and that's it.
Wow. That's what they do now. Yeah, Live Nation is doing it all at this point. They just do the whole
Yeah.
thing. Um, so
It's not first.
I want to get into a little bit about because we didn't talk about last time, and we don't spend much time on it. You actually your turn. When did your turn a little bit? You went a little bit bad. You got into some things. You explained to me how it happened. How did that happen when it all took a turn and started kind of going downhill a little bit?
Well, so I had my own agency, right? And William Morris hired me back. It was the first time in history that William Morris let somebody go and then hired them back.
Right.
And not only did they hire me back, they made me a department head. Okay.
Right.
And they hired my assistant, made her an agent. They hired my receptionist, made her my agent. secretary. Then I was able to get my own assistant, and I was in this really big office. It was across the street in the new building.
Right.
Um, right before that happened, like I'm telling you, maybe like not even a week before that happened, I remember I was booking Def Comedy Jam, right? And when I took over Def Comedy Jam, the guys weren't making any fucking money because
Right.
the road manager would always say at the end of the gig, there was no money left.
Right.
Their expenses, their advertising, something happened, right? So they only got their guarantee, which was maybe like $500. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I took it over, I told Stan Latham we're redoing everything. Stan Latham was the one of the co-founders of that with Russell. I think I paid everybody, got a guarantee of like $1,500 or something like that. I increased it.
That was
And
good.
then I did bonuses based on attendance, not so much bonuses based on percentages. Okay.
Right.
And then, they always got a bonus, even if it was $100. I mean, they always got a bonus.
There was something in the pot. Yeah.
And those kids were so like happy. Okay. One of the kids who was on the tour, right? He came in my office. He gave me a hug. He said, "I'm making money now. Thank you." And I said, "I don't understand how Def Comedy Jam had you out on tour for 2 years and you made no money." I don't know
Right. Who was that? Do you remember who it was?
who the comic was.
Yeah.
It was Ricky.
Ricky Harris.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
So he
Ricky
was
had
he was very grateful for what you did then.
unbelievably grateful. But you see, he came in with his friend,
Okay.
and his friend said, I heard you're the man." I said, "Yeah, yeah." His friend wanted me to hook him up to go to the House of Blues. I had a VIP card.
Uh-huh.
He wanted me to hook him up to go to the Greek theater, right? Because like the Temptations, someone was going in there, and he says, Can you hook me up with this stuff, Bill?" I said, I was like, "I don't really know you." So he goes in his pocket and he takes out a thing, and it's like a big thing of cocaine, and he throws it on my desk, and I go, "What the fuck is this?" You know? And then he takes out another thing of weed and throws it at me, and he says, "Yeah, yeah, this is for you, man. Let's want to get hooked up. I want to live the Hollywood scene, man."
So you did a little bump.
So what I did, I told him actually, I said, "Look, I can't do weed because back in the day, right, the chronic, you take a hit of that, you're coughing for like an hour."
Right.
I said, "But I'll take some of the cocaine."
Now, was this your first time ever trying cocaine, or you've done it before in the
Well,
past?
yeah, I mean, there were a couple times that when I was down on Wall Street that I
Okay.
when you get paid, I mean, it's unfucking believable. For the people who
Right.
don't know, when you're on Wall Street and you're coming out of one of those big financial buildings, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're all lined up on the street.
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah, and and people are giving money and they're getting bags, getting bags. Do you want hard? Do you want soft? I mean, it's like that. No one ever talks about it, but
Right.
that's
It's
what it
just
is.
the way it is. So you did the coke. You tried the coke in your office.
Yeah, and I justified it because I said to myself, I've been working my fucking balls off, right, for
Mm.
for like 13 years or something. I says I could take a little breather now because Martin's not going out on tour, right? At least for
Right.
the next couple of years. Um, Chris is doing his new special,
Mm-hmm.
um, Bring the Pain. Okay.
Bring the pain. Yep.
Yeah. Now Chris had, unfortunately, he came and he left me. But the reason he left me was ICM had that movie or had the show Everyone Hates Chris,
Right.
and William Morris had nothing, absolutely nothing. So he said, Bill, I'm going to leave, go to ICM, but I'm going to keep my personal appearances with you. I said, that's fine, fantastic, no problem, great. So when he gets to ICM, that one of the big shots over there said, hey, Chris, I know you've been with Branca for a long time, but in order for this deal to work, I'm going to need you for personal appearances.
Oh, okay. Wow. He was trying to just take them all across the board.
Yeah. And, Chris came back, told me. I said, let's just do it, Chris. I mean, this is huge because I was pissed off.
Right.
Because I got back to William Morris. I was doing my comedy department. I was going to the meetings, right? And nothing. They had nothing. So I said, just take it, Chris, and let's keep in touch, okay? And it was no big deal.
So you were acting more as a friend than anything else at that point. You weren't trying to go up against ICM. You were just like, listen, this is what you need to do right now. Just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. So he went over there. Martin was on like his hiatus or whatever. I think he already did. The movie with Will Smith.
I remember he did one. I don't remember the name of the movie.
I'm going to tell you something. That's 64 years old, and I'm having a lot of senior moments.
Hey, I'm 60, and once in a while I get it too. I thought today I paid for a cake. I thought it was supposed to be $20, $9.99. I was at 20. I'm like, my wife goes, "What's wrong with you?" It happens. It just happens.
Yeah, Michael Bay. Michael Bay directed it. I can't remember the name.
Let's see if I can. I wish I had like Rogan had a producer here, because it's going to bother me. But I wish I had somebody
feeding
here.
You information in your ear.
I haven't talked to Tony in a while. I don't know what's going on with Tony.
Oh.
If anybody knows the name of the movie, you can put it in the comments below, people. You're watching the show live. I need to know what's going on. Bad Boys. There you go.
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys.
I'm going to tell you, when Martin did Bad Boys, I mean, that was huge, right?
Yeah.
So this is, again, just before I went back to William Morris, right? So I flew down there, okay? I got this Art Deco hotel. It was like I had like a suite in it. I paid for it. The movie, nobody paid for it. I had this beautiful girl, Christy. Oh my God, she was so freaking beautiful. She came down with me, okay? And we went on the set. And Michael Bay, I'll tell you a funny story about Michael Bay. When he got out of film school, he was friends with Brad Fuller, right? Who's a big producer right now. But Michael Bay and I connected as friends. And sometimes, like on weekends when I had no business, nothing going on. Hey, Michael, you want to come over and let's watch The Hills Have Eyes? He would come over to my house and we would watch these old, horrible B-list horror movies.
Like Creature Feature style. Remember Creature Feature?
Yep.
Those real shitty ones that, they're doing thunder in the background with a little piece of aluminum foil.
Yeah.
That's
so, Michael Bay, when he got Bad Boys, I was like, holy shit, Michael, I can't believe it fucking happened. Because, a lot of people come out of film school and want to be directors, and it takes them 20 years. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I knew Michael was blessed. And I went down there. Michael Bay saw me on the set, right? He flipped out. He stopped filming. Branca, what are you doing here? And who's that girl? Oh my God, come over. Yeah,
Were
The
were you
only
getting high then at that time? Were you starting
no,
to get high at that? No.
no, not at all. Everything was before.
It was-
So Taylor Leone was doing the scene and the thing, and he just stopped production. And then he came over. He flipped out. This girl that was with me just flipped out, right? And you know, I said that I'm representing Martin Lawrence. I says, you know what, Michael, I didn't make the deal for this movie. This was made by the film agent, but because he's my client, I'm here with him. I go to
right.
all his engagements, whether I booked a deal or not. And he was really impressed with that,
Wow.
you know? Yeah. And I stayed down there for about a week. We didn't go to Acapulco. And if you, that was a reference to the last show, right?
Yeah, the one where you guys were on a bus trying to leave the country.
Yeah, the people were holding chickens and
Yeah, they were trying to get out of the country too. You just happened to make it.
yeah, that was yeah, Trump would have been pretty pissed off.
Yeah, yeah.
That bus was going right for the
That was
borderline.
going right for the border, man. That was a border bus that you're on. That's funny. Um,
But anyway, yeah, that's so that happened, and I get back to William Morris. You know, I still have this connection, right? And he drops by every once in a while, and he's just giving me shit, right? So I got to do something for this guy, okay? So I went to the House of Blues, the guy who ran the House of Blues VIP room.
was that
He was a
Nigel?
really Nigel. That's it, Nigel. He was
I
a
knew Nigel
really
too.
real.
He would always let me in the House of Blues.
I paid 1 year, you know,
Yeah,
like $1,000, but I never
yeah,
paid after that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I said, Nigel, you gotta help me out here, you know. And he gave him a card. That's how nice Nigel was.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
gave it to him. Oh my God. And then he was so excited because now he was in a very hip place, right?
The hottest spot at
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
You know, so then he would give me more, give me more, give me more. So what happened was because I nothing was going on with these guys, I just said fuck it. I
You
mean,
started.
but it really fucked me up because I should have started kicking ass at William Morris. Instead, I kind of like chose to chill, relax.
To relax. Did you think is that when it just kind of like because after that I never saw you doing anything anymore. I don't know like what
Well,
did you do? How did it
yeah, it was 'cause I lost Chris. Def Comedy Jam was ran its course, right?
right?
You're not hot forever. Nothing lasts
Sure.
forever.
Yeah.
And Martin show had ended, right? He was going to start doing some movies, so I knew I was screwed. Um, I just partaked in you know the substance,
But
and it
then you
went on.
bounced. It went on for a while. How long did it go on for? You actually did that.
Okay, so what happened was probably 97, 98. You know, my brother suspected it, you know,
Hmm.
and he had like an intervention and said to me, "We want you to go to the Betty Ford Center." And there was a program. It was called MAP, Musician Assistance Program. And if you're anyone in Hollywood, if you're anyone, a director, a writer, an agent, and you're having a substance problem, MAP will help you. They'll pay
We'll
for
help you out. Well, that was nice. So he got you into the Betty Ford map system,
it. Yeah. And
and
you know, I was kind of like, I mean, it's been like a year and a half. You
right?
know, I'm not quite ready for this. You know.
Yeah. You were in denial. You were denying it.
But what happened was that when I came back, I was clean.
Hmm.
I was clean for probably a year,
Yeah.
right? William Morris said to me, Bill, why don't we buy you out of your contract, right? And I says, well, I really don't want to do that because I'm back, I'm clean. I want to start kicking ass. And they said, no, we're gonna buy you out of your. And they're looking at giving me a bundle of cash. I said, okay. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't. I negotiated. My brother actually did. I
Right.
got a bundle of cash, and I got out of there.
If you would have kept your contract, though, would have they kept you working, or they would have just put you on the back burner and waited till the contract was exhausted?
No, I would have had to live up to the contract.
You would have. So they would have had to keep
Yeah,
you working. You would have had to do something for that.
yeah,
I think you made the
'cause,
right choice, though.
yeah. I didn't want. I really didn't want to. But then when that happened, it fucked me up.
Yeah.
I went. I slipped. I
You
slipped.
relapsed.
Yeah. Now, what happened when I relapsed? My brother, Map, right? They sent me to a place called Impact, and that was in Pasadena.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, it was a blast because Sebastian Bach was there with me. Um, this other kid that was in one of those making the band shows
Yeah.
um, was there with Mission. I said, anyway,
That's all right. You're allowed to say that.
what happened was we we had a group of people there, and we had a lot of fun, and we all got ourselves clean. You
That was
know,
great. So then you stayed clean after that.
yeah.
And then you've been clean pretty
Well,
much
but
ever
then,
since.
so then my father got sick, and I'm living in California, and they're putting pressure on me to come to Florida, So I went to Florida, right? And I was helping my dad with his illness. And during the way somewhere, I met somebody,
Gotcha. You'll
and
always find your way.
they just come up to you. Hey, do you need anything?
Yeah.
And I said, all right, let me try something. And I tried it. It was almost as good as the stuff I got in California. It was
Yeah.
incredible. So I relapsed for the third time.
And then you go into a rehab again.
Yeah. So what I did was I called my brother. It because I knew I fucked up. I
Right.
knew it, right? And I got back into it right where I left off.
Impact. You went back to Impact.
I went back to Impact. I stayed for 6 months.
Wow.
That's how serious I was to get this over with.
Yeah.
And then you got to go to the AA meetings. You got to declare yourself an alcoholic. You got to declare, yourself an addict.
NA. You went to NA. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So
Now,
have you've been clean since that last stint?
yeah, I'm gonna tell you. It was about let's say 2003, 2004, right? 6 months, right? I got out of that. I went back to Florida. I then got involved with this Recovery Nation, which was a radio show. It
Uh
was
huh.
called Recovery Nation, and we would feature people who were addicts, and stuff like that. And it was fantastic. I did that for a while, and then the show ended up getting canceled. And I shortly thereafter met my wife, right?
Hmm.
2010, maybe. Okay.
And you were clean then. You were doing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
were feeling good.
And the thing I got to tell you is, in NA, they want to label you an addict, and you're going to wear that label for
Right.
the rest of your fucking life. Okay?
Right.
I mean, you could be 90 years old and dying. I'm
You're
in
still an addict.
recovery. Yeah. Okay. I didn't agree with that.
Uh huh.
I went to my meetings. I had a strong base of people around me, but I stopped then going to the meetings because I didn't have any desire. I had no craving. I was in situations with people that I knew where they were passing the vial around, and then they come to me with it, and I don't want it. I can't explain it to you.
So then it just went away.
It went away.
It went away. That's what happens.
And when I met my wife, right? She's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. We ended up dating, and we had a child in
Yeah,
2014. Now here I am having this child that's dependent on me
of
for
course.
everything for the next 18 years.
That's right.
I'm not. I had no desire, no desire. People had been coming up to me that knew, and I says, I don't have a desire to do it anymore. It's over
See
with.
that's a very powerful thing. It's powerful enough to make you get addicted to it, but yet nothing's more powerful than someone you love. And you look in their eyes and say, "There's no way that I can fuck this up. I just can't do it."
I said I had this fear in my head because you always think about it,
Right.
and I had this fear in my head that if I did it one time, if I did it one more time,
Back down again.
I was gonna get that I was gonna get in trouble
Yeah,
for
because you
some.
knew you. You knew you. See, you knew you.
But it wasn't so much that I was gonna start using it again. It was the fear that while I'm driving home with the stuff in the car,
Right.
you know, I'm gonna get caught, and it's gonna
Right.
ruin my fucking life.
And you can't afford to because you have a wife, you have a daughter, you have a family. You really bounce back from it. I mean, look how great life has a way of telling the story. And right
Hmm.
now your story is a good story. It's a great story. It could have went the other way, Bill. I mean, let's face it. It could have went the other way, but it didn't. There was no tragedy other than, you got addicted to something and, but you caught yourself and it went the right way. You got yourself, you moved, you got out of that environment. You have a beautiful wife, you have a beautiful daughter. You're a great father, and I see your face, but I see you're always doing stuff with your daughter. You're, taking her to practice, and I mean, you live in the all American dream, really. If you think about it, better than any other dream, better than any showbiz story can be. This is the most important story of your life,
I was able to turn my life around. I was able to buy this house
right?
for my family on 1 acre of property. I drive
Amazing,
a brand new Buick Envision
yeah.
right off the deal, and everything is everything. It could collapse. I know it could collapse, but I'm not going to let it collapse.
You will not allow it to.
And I gotta tell you, I am not an addict, and
Right,
that's my big fucking disagreement with NA.
right.
They want to label you an addict for the rest of your fucking life.
See, the way you were able to change that part of your life and say, "I'm not an addict. I'm Bill. I'm still Bill Brank. I'm not an addict." And this is the same way you were able to say, let's put a comedy department together for William Morris. You created
Mhm.
your own category in both ends, your
Mhm.
Hollywood and your personal. You created your own category, and yet you don't crave it anymore. You're killing it. You still love show business. You still love getting on tell. You have great stories to tell, and you've worked
Mhm.
other jobs that nobody knew. I mean, I guess they found out who you were. I mean, you're Googleable. Anybody can Google
Yeah.
Bill Brank and see who he is. So that had to be kind of weird when you were working at other jobs and here you
Yeah.
are, and you're Chris Rock's fucking agent. You're Martin
Yeah.
Lawrence's agent. They don't even know this.
Yeah. I mean, during that stretch, Ken Burns was doing his Jackie Robinson thing, right? His documentary. I was involved with that, right? Um, Penny Marshall, right?
Yeah.
I actually called her office, called her, and she picked up the phone once. I flipped out and I told her, Penny, my uncle is Ralph Branker. I know you're a huge Brooklyn Dodger fan. How would you like if we come by and meet you? Okay, because I want to tell you about the docudrama we want to produce about the shot heard around the world.
Right.
She invited us to her New York penthouse. Okay.
Wow.
And I remember I'm sitting there with my Uncle Ralph and her dish or garbage disposal broke. So the guy was there, the plumber fixing it. He said $2,500. I said, oh, what the fuck is going on here? And this was back in like 2013 or something.
Right.
The fuck is going $2,500? Okay, those things are like $150 at Home Depot.
That's
She
crazy.
just fucking wrote a check and said, "Go."
That's a beautiful thing that
Billy
you just do that.
Crystal did the movie Parenthood,
Yeah.
and I got my uncle Ralph Branca, to do a guest appearance in that movie with Beth Midler. I met Beth Midler. I
Oh my
had a
God.
long conversation with Marissa Tomei. I just fell in love with her.
She's I love her. Marissa's great.
Yeah, these are projects that I have been involved in since I left William Morris.
Yeah.
Then my uncle Ralph, right? I get him a book deal where he's going to talk about the shot heard around the world. Then Bobby Valentine, his son-in-law, starts a film company and says, "We're going to produce the documentary, Bill. We want you to produce it." So I
That's
produced the
amazing.
documentary with the another senior moment from New York Film School. He was the number one producer. I was the number two producer. And then we did the book deal, and then we did a tour all around New York City. I mean, I'm telling you, I've been involved with some amazing projects.
So since the whole, like when I first talked to you, I just thought you were gone, but you were never really gone. You were gone from Hollywood, but you were still doing things in show business. What
Yeah.
a lot of people that are in the comedy world just wouldn't know it because you weren't in that world as much anymore. But you were still out there, so it wasn't like you were really gone. I said he was gone. What happened to him? You were still doing things, just we didn't know about it.
It was like one project a year would come across my desk. I mean, I remember when I first got out, after I cleaned myself up, one of my promoters from the Martin tour had a thing with DMX and said to me, "I need you to put a tour together for him." And
Wow.
he paid me, I don't know, like 5, 10 grand or something, and I put a tour together.
What was the last thing you did in the business? The last thing.
Okay, a couple of years ago, I mean, just a couple of years ago, I met this guy, Steven Barber, and he's a really interesting guy. And he's been an MIA hunter, for like the past 15, 20 years, meaning he'll go to Korea, he'll go to Vietnam, he'll have a team with him, and they will uncover bones of American soldiers that were left
Wow.
behind. They would go then to Hawaii, where there's um, the Naval Academy has this lab there. They clean the bones, they extract the DNA, and they try to match them with the families here in America.
That's
Then
amazing.
once they're matched, right? The bones are then very professional. They get presented to the family. The family then they have a funeral at a you know a you know one of the what are they called, the funeral fields where
Your funeral parlor?
where yeah where, like
Oh, soldiers, where the soldiers go,
Arlington,
cemetery.
something like that. Yeah. And then so I said to Steve, "This is fucking incredible." I said, I want to represent you, right? I want to put a show together with us going to Vietnam, going to the like Hanoi Hilton, something like that, and we're gonna be digging up bones, okay? And this has to all be documented. So
Yeah.
I got a film crew together. We got a anthropologist. We had a team of people together. We had an ordnance specialist because there might still be some friggin' landmines there.
Oh, right. Sure.
And we did a sizzle tape.
Did you go to Vietnam with them?
No,
Oh, okay.
I got Kelsey Grammer. I by chance, Stephen had been hounding him because he ran into him sitting in Beverly Hills one time, and Stephen just kept hounding him. But I said, "You can't hound him. Okay, You
Yeah.
can't do that. So I called the production company. I spoke to his head of production over there, a really nice guy. He said he was going to talk to Kelsey about it. Kelsey agreed to host the show. Okay.
Wow.
I set up a meeting at UTA in LA. We pitched it to them. They loved it. Okay. But I had to make the introductions to the networks. Okay. So, but I had my team. I had UTA behind it. I had
Yeah,
Kelsey
yeah.
Grammer behind it. All the pieces were in place. We went to the Army Channel. We went to the History Channel. We went to National Geographic. I went to every freaking cable network they had at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's different now. This is like maybe 2018.
Yeah.
I flew out to LA, met with Kelsey. No, nobody bought the show.
Why do you think that is? What now they probably would do it was all the streaming platforms that are out there.
Yeah, I would find somebody right now. You're right, because they have all the streaming
There's
platforms.
so many.
And it wasn't
so many things.
those reality shows are cheap to
Yeah.
produce
Yeah.
because we had the airlines giving us free flights because they wanted this publicity that they were going to be flying remains home.
Right.
You know, talking to the Vietnam Chamber of Commerce or whatever, they were opening the door. They were going to provide us with guides to take us to the sites, the POWs.
I wonder if did he ever find anybody who was a missing in action, a POW that actually was still alive that didn't want to come home, that stayed there and said, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to stay there. I've heard
That's
there
a
are
true story.
I heard there are things like that.
Yeah, there is one. Yeah, that was because I wanted to even do a show on that.
Yeah.
Okay, where this guy has been living in Vietnam for like 50 friggin' years.
Everybody thought he's missing. He's just there, married with kids.
Married with kids, barely has any memory of America.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's already thick into it. I'd love to see that documentary.
Yeah.
What are you working on now? You anything new you think you're going to get involved in? You doing anything?
When I couldn't sell that show with Kelsey Grammer, I went like this. I'm done.
You washed your hands.
Hollywood is telling me it's time for me to move on.
Yeah. But do you really feel you moved on, Bill? Do you think there's always something there in the back of your head? You never know, right?
I moved on. I mean, yeah. I mean,
unless Chris calls you up and says, "Let's put the band back together again," you'd be out there for 3 months.
I would do that.
Yeah, you never move on.
You know, I remember a couple of years ago, like when this was going on, maybe it was just before the Kelsey Grammer show. I remember I was talking to Chris. I had a conversation with him, and I said to him, "Chris, what are you working on now?" You know, and he told me there were a couple of things he was working on. I says, "Okay, I got to make you a deal here. Somewhere in that production of that show, you got to find me a slot, okay?
Right.
Where I could work on that show, you know, with you, you know, in some producer something capacity." And he says, "Bill, I'm gonna go check it out. I'm gonna go check it out with the producers, okay?" They said there's nothing here for him. They're fucking pricks.
They are pricks. Well, we covered a lot today, Bill. What do we do? An hour and 20 minutes. I think that once in a while, I don't even know if we should do a part 3. I should just think that maybe every once in a while you just come on the air and we just shoot the shit for a little bit. I think it's a nice weekend with Bill Branca. We'll call it the weekend with Bill Branca. Whatever we want to talk about, we'll talk about, you know? It doesn't have to be showbiz.
There's a million things we could talk about. I could even get into that Ralph Branca story because
I want to get into that more. I want to research that more. Is your uncle was a Brooklyn Dodger?
This is what happened, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 1944. Okay, 1941. My father was on the A.B. Davis High School team. He was an undefeated pitcher. He went to the state championship and won. I have video footage of my dad getting off the fucking bus when he was 17, 18 years old and accepting an award from the mayor of my hometown. I that I can't tell you how I found it, but that footage, I picked it up. I didn't know what the fuck was on it. I
Right.
just picked it up. And I brought it home and I rented the 16 millimeter from the library. And I'm watching all this shit, and I come to a part, 1941 AB Davis Championship. I called
Wow.
my dad. Dad, is that you? Yeah, that's me, Bill. Where'd you find this? God put me there.
That's crazy.
Find that footage. So my dad gets a letter from the New York Giants, and they say, John, we're inviting you to practice with us. You've been highly rated. And, we want you to join our organization. And that was 1941.
Wow.
He also gets a letter from the U.S. government. John,
Oh, okay.
you've been drafted into
Drafted.
the new Air Corps. You were a new division of the Army, called the Air Corps. Think about this.
That's crazy.
You get
Here you are,
18 years old. You just
ready to
get
go
the
pro
letter that's going to change your fucking life, right?
forever.
That
Yeah.
you've been trying for since you were a toddler, playing love of baseball. And then the U.S. government comes in and takes it away from you.
That easy. How long was he in the military for, you did?
He did like 4 years. He got out
Okay.
like at 46 or something like
So
that.
he didn't make it a long career. He did his job and got out.
He was in the
Did he get
Pacific Fleet.
uh-huh. Did he
Yeah.
get back into the baseball when he got out or no?
Yeah. What happened was when he got out, he contacted the team, right? The Giants, right? And they remembered him. And the guy said, "You're too old. We got other talent. You're too old, John. Your time has come and gone."
The
But
government
what
took it
my
away.
yeah, that guy, my father lived with that his whole life. But what happened was, this is a real funny story. Real funny story. I have it in my book, the book I have on Amazon.
Uh-huh.
Um,
What's the name of the book again for people who want to get that book?
it's 17 souls. And it's a story of my grandmother who fled from Budapest, Hungary,
Right.
because of an arranged marriage that her father was setting up. Okay. She was 16 years old. She came over here. I tracked her on her boat. I have her Ellis Island papers and all that good stuff. She's at the curb after the ferry dropped them off from Ellis Island, and a trolley car driver picks her up. It's my grandfather. They ended up getting married and having
Wow. What
17 kids.
a love story. 17.
Yeah, everything is factual in this book. It took me a year to write it.
Wow.
But what happened was, this was interesting. When my dad got the letter from the Army, he talked to his mom, right, Katie, and Ralph. Ralph was my father's younger brother, and he was a pitcher too. But he was bigger. He was like 6'6", and he threw fire. My dad says, "Ralph, I'm gonna take you to the practice with me. These people don't know I was drafted. Okay, so we're gonna go to the practice with the New York Giants, and I'm gonna tell them that I got drafted, and that I want you to try out." Kind of an interesting idea.
And then he tries out and obviously got on.
No,
No.
he tried out. No, my father went there and told him. I have a beautiful graphic in the book. Now you got to remember something. My family lived on South 9th Avenue in Mount Vernon. The whole neighborhood knew about the Branco boys in baseball, right? The whole neighborhood knew about the plan. The whole neighborhood was New York Giant fans. Everybody in that neighborhood were Giant fans. So what happened is my father does that story with them. They say, we don't want to see Ralph. Get the fuck out of here. You know, and they didn't let Ralph try out.
Wow.
They were like, we wanted you, John. We're not going to get the hell out of here. And then my father gets in a fight with the coach, right? Saying, you're a fucking idiot. This guy's better than me. He's my younger brother. You interested in me? You're going to love this guy. He throws harder. My dad was a psychological pitcher, with the curves and the change ups, right?
Right, right.
Ralph just threw fire.
He was just a cannonball.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a hell of a story there.
So the next day, my dad also had a tryout with the Brooklyn Dodgers. So when they got home that night, they told the family, the neighbors, what the New York Giants did, right? Everybody in the neighborhood in Mount Vernon fucked the Giants. They weren't New York Giants fans anymore. So they knew that the Dodgers were the next day. My father and Ralph go to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers say, "Oh, John, man, that's horrible, horrible. We really were looking forward to like having you on our team this year, but we'll take a look at Ralph." My uncle starts throwing smoke that it's popping in the friggin' glove, and the whole stadium is hearing it. They signed him on the spot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Well, he became an all-star starting game in the World Series pitcher. But he got screwed in 1951 with the shot heard around the world, which you people should look at. But what happened is it was uncovered that Leo DeRocher, who was the coach of the New York Giants, was cheating by feeding the signs to the signs to his team of what the pitchers were throwing, because the Giants won about 30 games in a row since the All-Star break. That's never happened. Yeah. So, and then so my uncle wrote a book about it, and we did a documentary about it.
That's great. So buy the book, everybody. What's the name of the book again?
Yeah, the book I have is called 17 Souls.
17 Souls.
It's an unbelievable story of coming from an Orthodox Jewish household with the father doing the arranged marriage, Katie wanting more out of life, where she tells her mom,
right,
I'm going to go live with your sister in New York City. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, getting out of Dodge. Amazing. What a great, I had a good time. This was a fun show today. This was a lot of personal stuff, a lot of Hollywood stuff, a lot of bounce back stuff. And we got to do it again.
I got to say something. If you're in NA and you need it because you can't control it, go with it. I'm an addict. I'm a recovering addict. I'm a recovering addict.
Right. If it helps you.
I had a different approach to it. I'm not saying don't stop going to meetings. No, please keep going to the meetings.
Yeah, if it helps you, go.
Yeah, but at some point in your life, like I used to. Oh, Hill. Remember Hill from?
Henry Hill.
Henry Hill. I used to go to the meetings with him in L.A.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in his late 80s or something.
Yeah.
He was still going. He was still saying he's the recovering addict. But he was. But I said, do you think about it anymore, Henry?
No. You just get over it. It's a phase. But if it like Bill says, if it works for you to say that, if it's going to make you better, then that needs to be said. But eventually you will just kind of do your own thing.
I couldn't let that define me,
right?
Because I had too much other stuff with Martin Lawrence, with Chris Rock, with my Uncle Ralph, my family, my kids.
Yeah.
That's how I want to be defined. I don't want to be defined as a recovering addict for
Yeah,
the
it's like,
rest
you
of
know,
my
I
fucking
used to
life.
smoke cigarettes, so I'm not going to go say I'm a recovering smoker. I'm done. I'm just fucking
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
Smoking's an addiction too. Am I going to say, well, I quit 21 years ago. I don't go around saying I'm a recovering smoker. No, I just don't fucking smoke anymore. That's it.
yeah.
I guess
I
I
mean,
have. That's it.
there are a few of us out there, but please, if you're in the program, you know,
Yeah,
keep working it. Yeah.
keep working it. Cool, man. Well, thank you very much, Bill.
Hmm.
Today was a great show. You think you'll be able to come back on in a few weeks?
Absolutely. We could do it. We could do it Saturday, and
Yeah,
we could bullshit about other
yeah, we'll
stuff.
we'll do another thing on Saturday. We'll talk about it. Wow, we did a nice show today. I had a great time on How Not to Bomb with Bill Branca.
Yeah.
Don't forget to buy his book. Look at it on Amazon. So this is live now on YouTube. We're going to end the live session of How Not to Bomb, and then you'll be able to see the rebroadcast and hear the rebroadcast on Amazon and Spotify and Deezer and Apple
Mhm.
and iHeart and all that other crazy shit.
You're
But
doing
thank you.
fantastic because I scrolled through
Thanks, man.
your channel, and you've had incredible guests on.
Thank you. I think we're
Congratulations.
on to something. Yeah, I think we're on to something. I'm excited about a few guests. I got Mike Marino coming on the 23rd,
Okay.
and I got Aaron Wexler. You know Aaron Wexler? You ever see her
Hmm.
on Instagram? Look for her. She's a right wing activist comedian, right? On the
Oh
right.
my
So she's
God.
a
Okay.
she's an extreme, and she has a lot of followers. She's making a lot of noise. She's got like almost 800,000 followers. Aaron Wixler,
Oh well.
Arynne. Yeah,
When is that
Wexler.
show? I gotta watch it.
That was trying to seal the date for sometime May, June. Right now, she's flying to LA. She's doing some stuff. It's going to be a fantastic show. Mike Marino is going to be on the 23rd. Um, I had Gio Aratis. He was just on the show yesterday, so that's
Hmm.
airing now. And then your show is going to be probably airing tomorrow and on Sunday on Spotify. So I'm lining up guests. I got Fred Rubino coming back. I have people coming in. If you want to do the show, like I said, anybody who wants to do the show, just go to theparisigroup.com, click on podcast. You'll see the form there. You can fill the form out on theparisigroup.com, and then it'll come to me, and I'll touch base with you and get on the show. That's what I'm trying
One
to do.
one other thing we gotta mention.
Yeah.
I one of my Chris Rock, one of my clients.
Yep.
We're in the process of scheduling him to be a guest on your show.
Yes, and I wanted to tell people, but of course I don't want to. But yes, Chris Rock is. We're trying to schedule him to come on the show very soon, and
And
anytime he wants.
I got an email from the publicist
Right.
saying we're all good. We
Good.
just have to pick a date because he wants to promote his new project.
He's got a new project. Chris has got a new project. So Chris Rock will be on the show. It's just a matter of
Yeah,
when, but whenever he wants to be on the show,
soon. She said soon.
be soon. So there you go.
Because the only reason I'm saying is because I got the letter from the publicist
Right.
and
So
she
we can at
signed
least
off
say
on
that.
it.
Good. So Chris
Yeah.
Rock's going to be on the show. Hey, Bill, I appreciate it. You making that happen. Number one. Number two, it's always nice talking to you. I love that you're into the family. And we were just texting a little while ago. I'm putting steaks on the grill. How great is that? You're with your daughter. I was like that too. Monday's my daughter's birthday. I can't wait. It's like family is everything. It really is. It really
Yeah.
changes who you are as a person. Of course, we can get back into the ruthless Hollywood time anytime, and get back to that person. But to be honest with you, I can do it, but I wouldn't want to do it for long. I think,
Yeah.
I
I
like
mean,
what I
I
do
could
now.
tell you stories that happened at the House of Blues. I mean, I could tell you there's so many stories to tell.
Well, we got more. We'll do another episode. We just got to do
Yeah.
another episode. That's all.
I
And
gotta
then when
ask you
Chris is on the show, you'll be on that show. Yeah. What's up?
something. I gotta ask
Yeah.
you something.
Oh, okay. Is that fusilli by Flora? Fusilli?
Yeah.
Fusilli Longhi. Fusilli is one of the best macaronis. What are you making with that?
Well, that's what I gotta ask you.
Oh, you
You
want to know what to
fry
make with
these
it?
you fry these in the frying pan, right?
You do well. The fusilli, the longhi, like that. What I would do with that is I would make it probably with a bolognese, but you can also fry that. And but I would make it with a bolognese sauce.
My wife came across this, right? So I had
Yeah.
to do a deep dive to get these exact noodles.
They're not
'Cause these
easy
are
to
the
find.
best.
Yeah.
No, no. And now I got to figure out how I'm going to cook them. And that's
It
where
should
I had to bring it to your attention.
Yeah, let me see the noodle itself.
The noodles over a foot long.
Yeah. You want to boil them just like you would do with any other noodle, probably around 9 minutes, and then I would add that to a nice bolognese sauce. But when you boil a noodle, don't ever put oil in the water. A lot of people put oil in the water. Never put oil in the water. Just salt. Anytime you
Yeah,
make it, just salt. People put oil, and
but
then the
then
food don't stick to it.
when they put them, then they put them in the frying, and the noodles expanded and got bigger.
Yeah, you can
And
do that
then
too, and then you can put them in a frying pan as well, and some extra. You put them in some olive oil, fry them up a little bit.
is that it? Just do an olive oil sauce?
I do a little olive oil, garlic, crushed red pepper, maybe throw an anchovy in there, make an aglio.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's how I'm
love it.
gonna do it.
Yeah, a little olive oil, garlic,
Mhm.
anchovy. If you're not allergic to nuts, chopped walnuts goes really well in that, and some breadcrumbs.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful dish. It's a
Thank
beautiful
you.
dish. Yeah, man. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate you coming on the show. And hey, let's talk soon, off camera one day. Of course, soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Wheels.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you,
You know,
everybody. How Not to Bomb, Bill Branca right here. And I hope to see you. Well, I'm going to see you in a couple of days with Mike Marino. So have a great weekend. Goodbye.